The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Salem Fire Department, Oregon, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 38547. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual sirens and PA speaker systems. Also, just inside that location, you'll find dual air horns. Located in the center is your unit identifier placard. As we move up onto the bumper extension, you'll find 2 top-mounted tow hooks. Moving on to the cab, you'll find your turn indicator. On the outer edge, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Just inside that location, you'll find your headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. High beam will be located on the inside of the structure. Just above that, you have a forward-facing emergency warning light. And directly above that, you'll find 2 grab handles, one on the passenger and driver's side, for gaining access to the windshield area. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And as we move to the outer edge, you'll find a mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the brow of the apparatus, you'll find 5 identification clearance lights. Located directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move on to the top of the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located with inside the light bar is your opticom. Let's take a look at the side of the vehicle from the driver's side. We'll focus in on the cab section next. Let's start first with the front axle, where you'll find Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle. Also in the very front, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. In the stepwell area of the driver's area, you'll find an air inlet. And as we move up onto the face of the cab, you'll find a marker turn indicator light. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are your door handles. They are also keyed. Right next to that, you'll find the grab handle. These are for gaining entry and exit out of the cab. As we move directly over the front axle, you'll find your shoreline inlet. As we move toward the rear of the cab, you'll find your lower zone emergency warning light. And then also you'll find a unit identifier plaque. And then as we move up to the very top over the center axle window, you'll find a side-facing cab scene light. Directly over the driver's seat, you'll find an additional spotlight. This is the go light, controlled from inside the cab area. General view of the midsection, we'll cover that in just a few moments under the pump section. Let's start with the body next, where you'll find wheel chocks, one in front and one into the rear of the rear axle. As we move up, you'll also find marker turn indicator light, and then also storage for SCBA bottle storage, a emergency warning light directly over the rear axle, your fuel door. And then as we move up to the very top toward the rear, you'll find a side-facing body scene light. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus, general view, and then we'll move around now to the passenger side, full view. We'll start with the body section. Same configuration and layout as you have, except you have an additional ladder rack. Midsection, we'll cover that in just a few moments. And then back to the cab area, same configuration, except you do have a side-facing camera. Full view, all compartments open on the driver's side. And let's go ahead and go inside the cab area of the driver's space. First, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information. Also, you'll find directly above that the combination door lock and latch. Above that, you'll find your manual window controls and a grab handle. Let's move into the cab area, first starting with the lower portion step area where you'll find the air inlet. As we move up to the base of the seat, you'll find your battery voltage indicator. This will operate when plugged into shoreline power. You'll also find this yellow placard, which we'll go over in just a few moments. Let's take a look at some close-ups. First, the air inlet. Then when plugged into shoreline power, your battery status system will operate. And we'll look at the yellow placard now, indicating the date of service, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, the VIN number, fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and fluid type. As we move to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch. It is a quarter turn. Right next to that, you'll find the tech module and also engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port for your maintenance team. As we move down, we have a few switches here. Let's go over those. First, we'll start with the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen switch, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. Just to the right of that location is your display port for your maintenance team also. As we move up, you'll find your pump shift. This is an air shift. You'll find instructions from road to pump, and then also instructions from pump to road. Just as a reminder, you need both lights illuminating, pump engaged, and OK to pump for pump operations before exiting the cab. As we move to the steering wheel, and now we'll move to the dash cluster. As we move to the left-hand side, you'll find your ignition and start switch. Just inside that location, you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will disengage or engage all emergency lights. Headlight switch and panel switch allow you to brighten lights within preview of the operator dash. To the opposite side of the steering column, you'll find your OK to engage your high idle indicator and switch. As we move to the dash cluster, you'll find your transmission, oil, def level, and water temp. To the right, you'll find front air, rear air, volts, and fuel status. Also, you have a tachometer and speedometer located in the center. Diagnostic engine information will display above and below the speedometer, in addition with the digital view screen. Let's look just to the right of the steering column area, where you'll find your mirror control for the flat and convex mirror, the yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake, and push to release. This controls your rear brakes. Allison transmission pad, push button, digital readout with an informational note to pump in drive. Also, we have a switch panel, which we'll go over in just a few moments. And at the very top section, this is your command zone. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. It also has function buttons and also a touch screen. Let's move back down to the switch panel, where you'll find your engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high, and mirror heat. As we move to the Allison transmission pad, we do have an informational note here to pump in drive. Flat mirror and convex mirror, which we previously mentioned. As we move forward in the console, you'll find your windshield wiper fluid, push for fluid, rotate right to left for on-off for windshield wipers. Climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. Moving further to the right in the next panel, you'll find 12-volt access via barrel style and also USB. Moving overhead, let's identify a few items within this area. First, let's start with the yellow placard on your left for the height of the vehicle. It's 9 feet 5 inches. The length of the vehicle is 30 feet 4 inches, and the gross vehicle weight rating 40,000 pounds. Additionally, there's the 5-digit job number down at the very bottom, -01, which is the first in that series. Moving to the right, you'll find your emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning. Next screen down is where you'll find the lower rear warning, upper rear warning, the Opticom, and then a future switch location. Further to the right, we'll find scene lights. You're going to find the front scene, driver scene, passenger scene, rear scene, perimeter lights, electronic siren, and load manager. As you can see, when the switch has been depressed, the green light will illuminate on the outer edge. To the right, you'll find your siren control module and PA speaker system. Further to the right, traffic advisor. Then as we look toward the center of the apparatus at the roof line, you'll find this light. Do not move your apparatus if light is flashing. You have a compartment or door open. Directly in the center, you'll find your air conditioning unit, and then on each side you have pull cords for your air horn. Push on and off white or red lens lights overhead. As we move to the rear of the apparatus seat, you're going to find at the very bottom a handle for the manual cab tilt, a speaker with volume control for your backup camera system. Also, when plugged into Shoreline power, this outlet becomes active, which energizes your battery charger, maintaining your batteries. Let's move exterior, where you'll find your Shoreline inlet. There is an indication of green, indicating that the Shoreline power is active. As we move down to the front axle, once again, a Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and that visual sight gauge indicator in the center of the axle. Let's move to the rear cab area, where you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, manual window control, door lock and latch, and also grab handle. In the rear area, you'll find your air conditioning unit, and also push on and off white or red lens lights. The seats in the rear against the rear wall are sitting on a pedestal. Those do have access underneath those. As we move to the forward section, there are two locations where your heaters are stored. Underneath the seats forward facing, we have additional storage here and also 12-volt access. To the rear of the engine, you'll find lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission, and we do have an engine compartment light exterior. As we move to those two rear seats forward facing, they do house SCBA brackets in the back. And then just in the lower section, you'll find on the officer side, Shoreline power and also 12-volt access via bus bar. Let's move to the exterior portion of the cab area outside, where you'll find additional storage on this pan door. As we move now to the pump panel area, we'll start at the very top with the crosslays. First, we'll start with two full crosslays in the forward section. Those are pre-connected. Then as we move to the rear portion, there are two additional dead lays. Both of the crosslays are foam capable. We also have backboard storage accessible from both passenger and driver side. Let's start with the pump panel. We'll start first because of those crosslays. We do have a warning placard indicating entanglement hazard. We have two master gauges. First, pump intake gauge, and then just to the right, you'll find your pump discharge gauge. Moving further to the right, you'll find the black audible alarm or speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does rotate to allow you to increase or decrease sound level. To the right, your pressure throttle governor. And then further to the right, switch panel in the gray area. What I'd like to point out is a green indicator, pump OK. As we move down, you'll find your Husky 3 foam system. Moving to the right, Husky 3 foam system foam level indicator. Just up from this location are the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. These are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. Also, you'll find the deluge discharge moving from left to right. We also have a driver rear discharge, which is a 2.5. And then further to the rear, you'll find the passenger rear discharge. This happens to be foam capable. Just to the right, you'll find your tank fill. And further to the right, you'll find an engine cooler that is a twist, not a pull. And then we'll move down on the pump panel and slightly to the left or front of the vehicle, where you'll find your reel rewind push button. Moving further to the right, you do have a red push button for your air horn. Then we also have some discharges located here for the driver's side reel and passenger side reel. And then just below that, all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. We do have a large diameter discharge on the passenger side. Water level indicator, LED. And then moving to the right, a warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And then just below that, you'll find a recirculating line. Down at the very bottom, you're going to find your tank to pump. From this point, we'll move down and slightly to the left on the pump panel. Start first with your intake relief valve. This is a control module for that. There are instructions on its placard, in addition with the Husky 3 foam system specification and foam system instructions placard. There are two 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. As we move down, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule, which we'll go over next. And then also a warning placard indicating that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they've received proper training. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left is the associated GPM at that test pressure. On the right, the associated RPM at that test pressure. Governed speed while in pump mode, 2,400 RPMs. 5-digit job number in the upper left. In the center, you'll find your driver's side main pump inlet, and then to the right, a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. You do have an air prime, push to prime air pump. We do have instructions just below for at least 1,000 RPMs for best practices, and then just below that, you'll find the fire pump drain. Let's move slightly down where you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled ball valve, female coupling, and all of our color-coded discharge drains. Watcher's placard indicating a 1,500 GPM pump, and your foam draft lever foam tank, and also a warning placard indicating do not mix different brands and consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Let's go back and take a look at the Watcher's placard indicating capacity 1,500 GPM. As we move to the pan door, you'll find the placard on the very back. It matches the yellow handle just inside. That's information regarding your foam fill or operation mode. You'll also find the foam drain in the very top, which is labeled. Let's take a look once again at the placard now. You can see in the horizontal position for operations and in the vertical position for foam fill. As we move just underneath the running board, you'll find foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. As we move to the running board, you also have a cutout location here for additional hose storage and dry deck material. We're now to the compartment just to the right of the pump at the very top section. I would like to point out this is a timer. This is for your ventilation air system located throughout the compartments in the body section. You also have a pull-out shelf located at the portion just above the floor area, release mechanism on the right. We're now into the SCBA storage location. You'll find 3 SCBA bottle storage locations here with retaining straps. As we move down, you'll find, once again, Alcoa wheels and Goodyear tire. Let's move back to the fuel door area where you'll find your ultra low sulfur diesel. It is the silver cap. As we pull the flap down, it exposes the blue def cap, which is a keyed lock. As we move to the upper compartment, you can see that we do have grab handle straps that also attach via the Velcro to the upper portion. As we move to the rear compartment, you'll find your ventilation system, shelving, and also a pull-out tray at the bottom. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll identify a few items within this area. First, let's start on the left-hand side of the truck, where you'll find your hose bed lights and then also rear scene lights in these cupped switches. As we move toward the right side or center left, you'll find your driver rear discharge, 2.5-inch. Also some warning information here regarding fall. Always face the vehicle while climbing on or off. And fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it is in motion. Let's move to the hose bed area where you'll find at the very top section your backup camera. Also you have a recessed traffic advisor located on each side of the backup camera. In the lower compartment, you'll find a pull-out tray in the lower section. The release mechanism is on the lower right. This is a through compartment from left to right. As we move back up to the top is where you're going to find an additional warning placard regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Please be cautious when opening them. Also a 2.5-inch discharge. This happens to be foam capable. As we move around to the rear compartment on the passenger side, you'll find in the uppermost compartment here in the vertical side sheet, battery direct 12-volt fuse box, additional shelving. In the lower portion, you'll find shoreline outlets. There are 4 outlets located here. As we move directly over the rear axle, D-handle gains us access to the rear portion of the tool board. It will open and lock into position. The release is located on the hinge side. As we move down, once again, Goodyear tires and Alcoa wheel. I would like to move just forward to this location where you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 3 SCBA bottles in addition with straps. As we move to the axle area, just in front is where your exhaust is located. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you choose to park your vehicle during regen operations. Let's move to the next compartment forward where you'll find additional shelving. And then we'll move now to the pump on the passenger side panel. Starting first up at the very top, we have backboard storage, 2 pre-connected lines, and then the 2 dead lays, both accessible from the passenger and driver side. A warning regarding entanglement hazard because those lines coming from a loft. This is the backboard storage, both accessible from passenger or driver. Let's take a look at the pump panel where you'll find the reel rewind switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find a pressure hazard warning. Also an entanglement warning on those cross lays. As we move down and slightly to the left, you'll find the number 4 passenger side discharge. It is a 2.5. And then we'll also find your powered equipment rack module. We have instructions on the placard for its operation to raise and lower. Just as a reminder, please make sure that you are clear of all electrical lines, and that's why we have this danger placard here for the movement of that device. Moving to the right, you'll find your cab lift. We have instructions from raise and lower, and also some caution and danger placard information. As a reminder, make sure all items are secured within inside the cab area. In the pan door, you'll find the hydraulic reservoir and motor for your hydraulic ladder rack. As we move down on the pump panel, a few items within this area. First, large diameter pump inlet on the passenger side. To the right is your large diameter discharge on the passenger side. And then a passenger side auxiliary inlet, locally controlled ball valve, and also female inlet. As we move down to the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. This side also has storage inside the running board area with dry deck material on the lower portion. As we move to the rear cab wall, you'll find an additional storage pan door here. D-handle gains you access into this space. Let's move inside to the cab area. We'll start first at the rear. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, combination door lock and latch, and manual window control and a grab handle. Overhead, once again, air conditioning and push on and off red or white lens lights. As we move to the rear, same configuration as we previously saw. We have access into the lower compartments here via lift and turn latches on both the passenger and driver side and the front section. As we move now exterior to the front axle, Alcoa wheel, Goodyear tire, visual sight gauge indicator in the center. Let's move inside to the officer space. Let's start first with the door panel. Fixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, combination door lock and latch, manual window control, and a grab handle. As we look to the very front section, this is the A pillar. You'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Also, as we look in the top section, you'll find a reading map and then also a control module for your Go light, which is on top of the roof. Here's a close-up of that Go light control module. A few images here with the ladder rack in the deployed position. There is a 24-foot extension ladder, a 14-foot roof, and a 10-foot attic ladder. Also, additional pike poles up above. Let's move now to the rear section of the apparatus. Ladder rack is in the stored position. We'll deploy that now so you can see the full hose bed. There are 3 hose bed dividers located here. As we move to the dunnage area, you'll find top fill for the water tank. You'll also find in the dunnage area top fill for your foam tank and a warning label on that foam tank not to mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Also, you'll find your Husky 3 reservoir and fill location. We do have some informational no-step caution placards also. This is the foam hydraulic oil reservoir. Also in the dunnage, you'll find 2 booster reels or red lines. They do have manual rewinds located on the top, and then also free tension spool knobs on the rear section. As we move to the center, you'll find your master stream device and also telescoping master stream pipe. As we move forward, these are your cross lays here with the cover closed. As we move to the cab, this is a non-walking surface, and we have that marked off with these caution informational warning labels. Just a quick look from a different perspective here. The next set of images are that of the cab tilted, chassis, engine, and underbody area. Let's start with cab raising. When you have engaged the cab raise, please make sure the cab fully extends with pressure behind all cylinders. There's a right and a left. Once the cab is fully in place the safety bar. Do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Maintain equal pressure on the right and left cylinders. Also on this side is where you'll find your hydraulic reservoir for those hydraulic cylinders, and also you'll find positive and negative jumper studs. Located here just to the side of the frame rail is where you'll find the hydraulic reservoir. Because it is deployed, you'll see that the fluid is lower because the fluid is inside those hydraulic cylinders. This will conclude the additional images of the chassis, engine, and under portion of your vehicle. We do have a short video for your emergency lights activated. Congratulations, Salem Fire Department, Oregon, on your new Pierce Enforcer fire apparatus, job number 38547. If you have any questions in regards to your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.